This house behind me is simply a nightmare, and there are a lot of deeply disturbing questions for authorities here. There were 6 bodies found in this house last week. This morning, we know there are more.
We discovered 4 additional, what we believe to be 4 bodies.
Police believe that they were murdered by this man, Anthony Sowell, a convicted rapist who had been living in the house.
It appears that this man had a satiable appetite that he had to fill.
5 of the bodies have been identified as women. Police say they were strangled.
I didn't feel safe. There's something telling me, don't go in this house.
One woman says she narrowly avoided being a victim.
How he was in love with me, how he wanted me to go up to his house and drink with him.
Sowell was a registered sex offender, and this tragedy raises questions about how closely he had been monitored by police.
Probation and parole is not really set up to be a law enforcement outfit. They're not set up to do the type of surveillance and supervision that might catch somebody like this guy.
The search of this house will continue. Chris, there could be still more bodies here.
This is the case of Anthony Sowell, a man who lived in plain sight in a quiet Cleveland neighborhood while nightmares was growing inside his home. For years, neighbors complained about a smell so strong it made them sick. Some thought it was sewage, others thought it was a nearby business, but nobody imagined the truth. Behind the walls of one home on Imperial Avenue, something unthinkable was happening. And when police finally stepped inside, they didn't just find evidence of a crime. They found a mass grave hidden in the home that has been screaming for attention for years. Anthony Sowell was born August 19, 1959 in Cleveland, Ohio. He grew up in a large family that struggled financially. People who knew him described him as quiet, withdrawn, and socially disconnected. He had difficulties forming relationships and often kept to himself. In 1978, Sowell joined the United States Marine Corps, where he served until 1985. While his time in the military gave him structure for a while, after his discharge, his life began to fall apart. He struggled to maintain steady employment, stable housing, and long-term relationships. Over time, that escalated into criminal behavior. He was later convicted of sexual assault and required to register as a sex offender, marking a major turning point in his life. By the mid-2000s, Sowell was living in a home on Imperial Avenue in Cleveland. Between roughly 2007 and 2009, he began targeting vulnerable women, many dealing with addiction, poverty, or homelessness. These women were often in situations where they were less likely to be immediately reported missing. One by one, they entered his home and never came back out. For years, people in the neighborhood noticed something was wrong. A constant, overwhelming smell came from Sowell's property. It was described as a rotting fish smell, decaying garbage, something dead. The odor was so strong that people would gag walking past. Businesses nearby would close their windows and doors. The smell became a part of daily life in the neighborhood. People tried to explain it away. Sewage problems, a nearby meat processing business, environmental issues. But the smell never went away. Residents reported it multiple times to city officials and health departments. Even local authorities investigated it, but nothing obvious was found at the time, so the complaints were dismissed and life continued. Multiple residents insisted something was wrong with the house. A Cleveland councilman even stated he personally contacted health officials after hearing complaints that the smell resembled decomposition. Still, without physical evidence, no deeper investigation was launched. The case remained invisible, even though the warning signs were consistent. The woman who exposed Anthony Sowell's crimes was Leshanda Billups. In September 2009, she escaped after a violent assault inside his Imperial home. Her courage to come forward gave investigators the evidence they need to obtain a search warrant. Without her report, it's impossible to know how much longer Sowell crimes might have remained hidden. On October 29, 2009, police arrived at the home on Imperial Avenue. Sowell wasn't there at the time. When officers entered the house, they were immediately hit with a powerful odor of decomposition. What they found inside would soon become one of the most disturbing crime scenes in Cleveland history.
Day 3 of the Anthony Sowell murder trial. One witness took the stand, painting a picture of the horror she encountered at Sowell's Imperial Avenue home. News Channel 5's Curtis Jackson recaps the shocking testimony.
Danita, Vanessa Gay is one of 5 women the prosecution says escaped Anthony Sowell's house before he could allegedly add to his body count. Gay not only describes his M.O., she may have also given the first insight into a possible motive. The faces of 11 women murdered on Imperial Avenue were familiar to those who led similar lives of drug and alcohol addiction. Many are faces Vanessa Gay will never forget.
Is this one of the women that you knew?
Sobbing throughout most of her testimony, Gay described how Sowell allegedly raped her after luring her to his house with the promise of crack cocaine and alcohol. As they climbed the stairs to the 3rd floor, she says she noticed a horrible stench and an ominous presence.
It was just like dark and gloomy. You could feel the gloom.
Gay says Sowell smoked the crack and then attacked her.
He turned around and punched me in my face and told me to take my clothes off. He said, "Bitch, take your clothes off."
What Sowell allegedly said during the attack may answer the question so many have asked. Why?
Women who smoke crack that did him wrong. Just how he was going to get those women back who did him wrong, women who smoke crack.
Gay says after Sowell raped her, she went to his bathroom and saw a woman who did him wrong.
I saw something on the floor. It looked like it was a body and it had no hand on it.
Gay believes she is alive today because she convinced herself and Sowell that she did not see a headless body.
He walked right beside me. I didn't want him behind me. I didn't want him in front of me. Just walk me to that door, please. Just walk me to the door. Just let me go.
It is the policy of News Channel 5 to not identify rape victims, but Gay and her attorney wanted to reveal her identity so she could more effectively share her story. Testimony resumes tomorrow.
As investigators searched the property, they discovered human remains inside the home. Bodies were located in multiple areas, including bedrooms, the basement, crawl spaces. They also found evidence that bodies has been moved and hidden. Outside the home, additional remains were recovered in the yard. Over the following days, the scale of discovery continued to grow. What had once been a residential home was revealed to be a site of multiple murders and concealment. In total, 11 victims were identified in connection with the case. Many were women who lived vulnerable lives, struggled with addiction, housing, or financial hardship. Rather than focus on only the names, it is important to understand the pattern of their lives. Several were last seen near downtown Cleveland. Many had inconsistent housing situations. Some were reported missing, others were not immediately reported at all. Most were targeted over the period of years between 2007 and 2009. Each victim represented life that was cut off quickly, without immediate alarm from the system meant to protect them. Before we continue, let's take a moment to remember the victims, not for the way their lives were taken, but for the lives they lived. They were daughters, mothers, sisters, friends, and people who were deeply loved. May they never be forgotten.
Hands of a Cleveland serial killer stands as a reminder of the terrible things that happened here. But these grounds are also now a garden, planting seeds of hope to celebrate life.
That is so beautiful, isn't it?
12 years in the making, the Garden of 11 Angels has come to life. For Lean Atterbury, whose daughter Michelle Mason was murdered in the home of former serial killer Anthony Sowell that once stood on this land, she hopes this will bring her peace.
They're still there in your heart.
Florence Bray not only lost her daughter, Crystal Dozier, to Sowell's cruel brutality, but she also grieves the murder of niece Imelda Hunter to Sowell.
I had two in this house that's gone, and it hurts. There's a special place in hell just for him.
But with the demolition of the home years ago, the land at East 123rd and Imperial Avenue, where the remains were discovered back in 2009, can be sewed into something good.
I'm the granddaughter of Tonia Carmichael, and this has been the most trying time for our family. I want to thank each and every last one of these ladies on this panel today. They have showed that we can, like Miss Yvonne Porter said, overcome a whole lot. Yes, God. Not only have I lost my grandmother, I've lost my mother in the process.
The tragedy that rocked this community can be transformed into a celebration of life. 11 women remembered eternally by families and neighbors forever bonded through tragedy and now healing. While it's hard to imagine anything positive came from these unthinkable crimes, some survivors of the victims say it was important to have answers about what happened to their loved ones. Reporting in Cleveland, Michelle Nix, 19 News.
Sowell died this afternoon in Ohio's care.
He was 61 years old. He was admitted to the end-of-life care unit at the Franklin Medical Center for a terminal illness back in 2009. Cleveland police were investigating a rape case against Sowell when they searched his house on Imperial Avenue and discovered 2 bodies. Over the next several days, investigators worked to uncover and identify the remains of 11 women.
Crystal Dozier was his first victim, and moments ago I spoke with her mother, Florence Bray, who was just herself hearing the news tonight. Bray says she will rest better tonight knowing Sowell is gone.
He's been in jail for the longest, and my daughter dead and been buried 12 years, and I'm glad he did. I ain't sad. God is a just God. He did what he's supposed to do. He took that evil person out of this world, and there's a special place in hell for him, too.
A sentiment shared by many tonight. Now, some more background for you. Lena Lai did a story back in 2019 on the 10-year mark of the Sowell case. Let's take a look.
The grisly discovery of a Cleveland serial killer's secret. The bodies of 11 women found buried inside and around 12205 Imperial Avenue, the home of Anthony Sowell, who became known as the Cleveland Strangler.
You can smell it as soon as you get on Imperial, all the way down.
Neighbors remember that stench of rotting flesh, so wrongly attributed to Ray's sausage store next door.
And now we say their names. The 11 women, Anthony Sowell's victims: Tonia Carmichael, Nancy Cobbs, Tishana Culver, Crystal Dozier, Talisha Fortson, Imelda Hunter, Leshanda Long, Michelle Mason, Kim Yvette Smith, Diane Turner, and Janice Webb. More on the death of Anthony Sowell on WKYC.com and, of course,
Thank you for tuning in with Beyond the Crime Scenes. Can you guys please like, share, and subscribe?